Chapter 1. Stop dawdling. Fill in your name and hand it in already, Nestor urged impatiently. Glancing at his watch again and again, Lara stared at the marriage application, her fingertips gently brushing the paper, as if tracing the threads of fate itself. In her past life, she had carefully written down her name, then dragged Nestor off with excitement to buy wedding candies, full of hope for a sweet, loving future. But in the end, she was brutally scolded just because Nestor had to rush home to make brown sugar tea for Lisa, who was on her period. Yeah, I got it, Lara replied absent-mindedly, while a storm churned in her heart. She had actually come back to life. Lara lifted her gaze and glanced at Nestor's agitated expression and the wrist that kept flicking up to check the time. He was wearing a white shirt today, the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, exposing lean, defined forearms. She remembered Lisa loved seeing him dressed like that. Said he looked clean and fresh. If you've got something to do, just go ahead, Lara said, forcing a relaxed tone despite the bitterness rising in her chest. I'll hand it in myself once I'm done. He let out a breath of relief, his voice softening slightly. Don't worry, since we're getting married, I'll take responsibility. Then, after a pause, he added, but please, stop getting jealous of Lisa. If people find out, it won't be good for her reputation. Lara said nothing. In her past life, she had explained herself countless times, but in Nestor's eyes, she was just the petty, jealous older sister who couldn't tolerate her gentle and fragile little sis. Nestor said nothing more and turned to leave in a rush. His retreating back was resolute. Without the slightest trace of hesitation, Lara took a deep breath, trying to calm her frantic heartbeat, but her mind wouldn't stop replaying the past. On their wedding night, Nestor refused to consummate the marriage, using Lisa's illness as an excuse. Even when they traveled, he took Lisa instead, claiming it was because she'd never been to City A. Even on the day their son was born, Nestor was nowhere to be seen, too busy comforting the newly divorced Lisa. And when Lara was on her deathbed, her own son whispered in her ear, trying to persuade her, Mom, just divorce Dad. You'll never be as good as Aunt Lisa. Dad sacrificed so much staying with you all these years. Can't you just let them be happy, even now? Lying in the hospital bed, Lara looked at her cold, silent husband. He said nothing, just sat there, wordless, his silence an acceptance of everything their son said. In that moment, Lara's heart truly died. She bit down on her lip until she tasted blood, then slowly released it. No, in this life, she wouldn't make the same mistake. She would not marry Nestor. She looked at the household registration document in her hand, and a bold idea surfaced in her mind. Lara picked up the pen and, in the applicants section, slowly wrote characters, Lisa. Nestor, if you love her that much, then so be it. Lara handed the completed form to the staff member, took the marriage certificate, and walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Outside, the sunlight fell warmly on her face. Lara didn't feel sad. In fact, she felt a strange, exhilarating sense of freedom. Chapter 2. Lara and Lisa were biological sisters. After their parents passed away in a work accident, both were taken in by the Liu family. Thanks to her sweet tongue and knack for winning people over, Lisa quickly became the darling of the Liu household, treated even better than a real daughter. Mother Liu had been planning early on to marry Lisa off to Nestor, but Lisa had said, I don't want to compete with my sister. And that was all it took for Nestor to willingly choose Lara instead. In truth, Lisa just wanted to keep Nestor on the hook. After all, at the time, Nestor was nothing more than a pilot. Lisa wanted to wait for someone better. Lara had gone to the university that day, checking on everything she needed to prepare for enrollment, including living expenses. Only once she had all the information did she feel at ease heading back. She had no intention of repeating her past mistake, giving up her studies for so-called love. Back at the military housing unit Nestor had been assigned, Lara had just stepped inside when she heard Lisa's playful voice. Nestor, aren't you afraid my sister will be mad that you're here with me and not her? I can be with her anytime, but your period always hurts. You think I'd leave you home alone like that? Lara let out a cold, self-deprecating laugh. She had painful periods too, but in her past life, Nestor never gave a damn. All he ever did was criticize her. Stop being so dramatic. Every woman gets her period, only you act this delicate. Inside, Lisa let out a girlish giggle, followed by a pouty sigh. Nestor, after you and Sis get married, will you still treat me like this? Of course. Nestor replied firmly. If I don't treat you well, then who would I treat well? If your sister treats you badly, I'll just divorce her. Lara clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug into her palms. The ache grounding her as she tried to suppress the bitter sorrow welling up inside. So even in this second life, hearing such heartless words from her husband still stung. She took a breath, composed herself, and walked into the house as if nothing had happened. Lisa heard the door and immediately put on her concerned act. Sis, you're back. Nestor came out of Lisa's room, a flicker of awkwardness on his face. Lara, Lisa wasn't feeling well, so I just went in to check on her. Lara answered with a flat and turned toward her room. In her past life, she had argued and fought endlessly with Nestor over his ambiguous relationship with Lisa, and every single time, he brushed her off with, "You're just petty, you can't stand your own sister." This time around, she had no intention of wasting her time and energy on pointless drama, but Nestor suddenly called after her. Lara, how about we buy some wedding candy to hand out to the wives at the base? Lara glanced at him in surprise. Then it hit her, this was probably his way of compensating her for not throwing a fit. The classic slap and then offer candy move he loved to pull. Lara's voice was cold. No need, that kind of formality's pointless. Nestor froze, clearly shocked. The same Lara who once couldn't wait to broadcast their marriage to the world was now rejecting the idea? Is Sis mad at Nestor for taking care of me? Lisa emerged from the room, all wide-eyed innocence and wounded pride. She was wearing the Lennon-style outfit that Lara had specially bought for their wedding photo shoot. It was something Lara had saved for over 6 months to buy in her previous life and never once wore. Seeing where Lara was looking, Lisa scrambled to explain. I just saw the outfit on your bed and thought it looked nice. I just wanted to try it on and forgot to take it off. She bowed her head, twisting her fingers nervously, like a child caught doing something wrong. Nestor instinctively began to speak. Lara, don't. Lara cut him off, her tone calm and unbothered. It looks good on you. You can keep it. I've never worn it anyway. No wonder. In her past life, when she'd run home in tears that night, the outfit had carried faint traces of blood and sweat. Now that she thought about it, Lara felt completely repulsed. Under their stunned gazes, she turned around and went back to her room, then locked the door behind her. Chapter 3. Inside the room, Lara took out a document folder. Inside was her admission letter, M-City University. She had always loved the South. M-City University's foreign language program, its most prestigious, was exactly what she had always been passionate about. In her past life, Lara gave it all up for Nestor. She abandoned her education, stayed home to serve his parents, and gave up everything for love. This time, she still had the chance, and this life, she was going to live for herself. Lara flipped open her calendar. 10 more days. In just 10 days, she'd be gone from this place. She circled the date in red, the 21st of the month. Time was tight, and every second counted. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. Lara, annoyed, pulled it open. Nestor stood there, holding a thermos of hot water. Here, he said, wipe yourself down, you like staying clean, right? There was a hint of awkward kindness in his tone, like he was trying to curry favor. Lara froze. There was no hot water at the base, and Lara, being particular about hygiene, had always walked far to fetch water from the canteen. And Nestor? He had never once brought water back for her. Even when she was bedridden, pregnant, barely able to move, he only snapped. Just deal with it, all right? So this sudden gesture caught her completely off guard. She took the thermos and said quietly, thanks. Nestor rubbed his hands, hesitating. Technically, tonight's our wedding night, but Lisa isn't feeling well, so I'll be with her. You should get some rest. Of course, she had forgotten. In her last life, it was the same. She had come home full of hope, only to find Nestor in Lisa's room, tending to her. She had argued, accused, cried. In the end, Nestor locked her out of the room. She spent that wedding night crying in the cold. The next day, She was the laughingstock of the entire base. "All right," she said flatly. "Take good care of her." Nestor seemed stung by her indifference. He spoke with a trace of guilt. "I'm being transferred to Cydia next week. We'll consummate our marriage then. Lisa's just like a sister to me." "She's my sister too," Lara replied with a shrug. "Take good care of her." She made to close the door, but Nestor suddenly blocked it. "You're really not jealous?" Something about Lara had changed ever since they came back from the civil office, and it unsettled him. Lara gave him a look, her eyes carrying a flicker of mockery. "Jealous of what? You got something else going on?" Nestor was silent, staring at her, conflicted. Lara didn't waste another word. She shut the door, but the moment she opened the thermos cap, a strong smell hit her, a mix of floral face cream and body odor. Floating on the surface were a few strands of curly hair. Revulsion crawled up her spine. This wasn't hot water, it was used water. Lisa's. Rage surged from her toes to the top of her head. Grabbing the thermos, she stormed to Lisa's room. Inside, Lisa was snuggled in Nestor's arms, whispering sweet nothings. Whoosh, the floral-scented, sweat-tainted water poured straight down, soaking the couple completely. Lisa screamed. Nestor jumped up and roared. "Lara, what the hell?" Lisa started crying, then gagged from the smell. Nestor patted her back, furious. "You've lost your damn mind. Lisa felt bad for you and told me to bring you water to clean up." Lara sneered. "Oh, I definitely wouldn't use that water. Who knows what kind of filthy crap it touched." "Bullshit!" Nestor snapped. "I boiled that water myself, it's clean." "I thought you'd grown up a little." "Guess not. Still the same irrational mess." Lara stepped closer, suppressing her disgust. She lifted the thermos and shoved it toward his face. "Nestor, go on, smell it yourself." "What is that?" In a flash of fury, Nestor shoved her hard. Lara fell, and the thermos shattered into 1,000 pieces. Glass cut into her hand, blood gushed instantly. "You're out of control, always doubting everything. You don't deserve anyone being good to you." He screamed, finger pointed at her, completely ignoring her bleeding hand. Blood trickled from Lara's fingers, staining the floor. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She stood up, quietly, her eyes filled with icy scorn. Only then did Nestor notice the wound. He frowned, but didn't step forward. "You brought this on yourself, acting like a lunatic." He looked away, disgusted. "Just look at you, like some hysterical fishwife." Lara laughed. Her shoulders shook from it. She had heard this before, too many times. In her past life, she had begged for this man's love, lowered herself to dust. She cooked, gave birth, kept the house spotless. He took it all for granted, trampled her love, drained her dry, and still thought she wasn't good enough. "Some hearts you can never warm, Nestor," Lara said as she slowly stood up, her voice like a blade. "You're disgusting." She turned and walked away, not a shred of hesitation. Nestor watched her back disappear and suddenly felt a strange, gnawing unease. "Get back here," he yelled. "Say that again to my face." Lisa, seeing his gaze still on Lara's back, grew bitter with jealousy. Her tears came instantly. She sobbed, pitiful and delicate. "It's all my fault, all my fault. She argued with you because she hates me. I'm the one to blame." Sure enough, Nestor turned back to her. He hugged Lisa, patting her back, whispering gently, there, it's not your fault. She's just being petty and paranoid. Don't cry." Chapter 4. Lara stumbled out of the housing unit, the bitter wind slashing across her face like a knife, but it still couldn't compare to the chill in her heart. She wandered aimlessly, not even knowing where she was going. "Oh my God, Lara, what happened to your hand?" Lara looked up in a daze. Mrs. Chon, passing by, was staring in horror at her bloody, mangled palm. Without waiting for a reply, Mrs. Chon grabbed her arm. "Come on, you need to get to the infirmary. This has to be treated right away." The sharp scent of antiseptic filled the room. Lara clenched her teeth and remained silent as the doctor cleaned and bandaged her wound. It was only after the treatment that the pain fully hit her, sharp, relentless, making cold sweat bead on her forehead. Mrs. Chon saw her shivering and quickly wrapped her scarf around Lara. Poor child. If Captain Sue saw you like this, his heart would break. Everyone in the compound knew about Lara and Nestor's engagement. It was an open secret that they were about to get married. A wave of sourness rose in Lara's throat. She wanted to say he wouldn't care at all, but the word stayed stuck inside. I've already sent my boy Eric to call Captain Sue. He'll be here soon. Time passed. Lara's hand was fully bandaged, but Nestor never showed. Eric came back, panting heavily, and alone. Ma, Captain Sue said he's not coming. Then, in his childish innocence, he added, he said it's just a scratch. I saw him hugging Auntie. Too busy to leave. Eric's words landed like a bomb in the small infirmary. Everyone froze. Their expressions changed. They all knew who Auntie referred to. The rumors about Captain Sue and his sister-in-law? Apparently, they were true. Shame burned through Lara, her face hot with humiliation. She tucked the loose strands of hair over her flushed face, hiding her reddened eyes, and turned to the doctor. Doctor, do you have any spare beds here? I'd like to stay the night. The doctor blinked, surprised, then nodded after glancing at her pale face with sympathy. Yes, I'll get it ready for you. Lara curled up on the narrow infirmary bed. Even under a blanket, she felt cold to the bone. She hugged herself tightly, as if trying to squeeze out the last traces of warmth. In her past life, she had lain in this very infirmary during the early stages of pregnancy, receiving treatment. Where was Nestor then? Shopping downtown with Lisa. He only arrived long after the treatment ended. Carrying snacks in his hand, she'd smiled and accepted the food, asking, "How did you know I was hungry?" He'd frowned and pulled his hand back. "Don't touch it." Lisa wanted this. I had to go to several stores to find it. How had she felt then? Heartbroken? Wronged? She couldn't remember. She only remembered how she had forgiven him again and again, and how he'd hurt her again and again. Lara shut her eyes. Silent tears slid down her cheeks. In this new life, she swore, she would never waste another tear on that man. At dawn, Nestor awoke, uneasy. Lara hadn't come home all night. Her cold, cutting gaze from yesterday still lingered in his mind, like a thorn lodged in his chest. Without really knowing why, he walked to her room and, after a moment of hesitation, gently pushed the door open. The room was spotless, almost too spotless. Hardly any personal belongings. On the desk was a calendar. A single date had been circled in bold red ink, the 21st. What's happening on the 21st? He wondered. Not a holiday. Not a trip. Was she planning something? Compared to Lisa's room, filled with soft colors, trinkets, and warmth, Lara's room felt barren, cold. A strange pang of guilt pricked at Nestor. He had been engaged to Lara for 2 years, but barely paid her any attention. She had always seemed too independent, too strong, not like Lisa, gentle, sweet, needing protection. Had he treated her unfairly? Lost in thought, he didn't notice the creak of the door. Lara entered, her face pale as paper. She shot him a cold look. "What are you doing in my room?" Nestor frowned instinctively. She always spoke so sharply, never soft like Lisa. No wonder he couldn't love her. He pointed at the calendar. "What's happening on the 21st? Her heart clenched. Without thinking, she blurted, "None of your business." He scowled. "Can't you talk like a normal person? We're married now. For God's sake." Lara didn't reply. She held onto the bedpost to steady herself. She'd lost too much blood. The dizziness was unbearable, her vision blurred. "What's wrong with you?" Nestor asked, a flicker of concern in his voice. Lara sneered. "You seriously don't know?" He thought back to her bleeding hand from last night and felt a twinge of irritation. "It's just a scratch. Are you seriously overreacting?" "Lisa's timid. If you hadn't scared her, I wouldn't have pushed you. You should apologize to her. You really went too far yesterday." Lara ignored his scolding, completely drained, physically and mentally. The nausea hit her again. Nestor watched her pale, unsteady figure, and whatever guilt he had, vanished. He decided she was faking it for sympathy. "You mute now? Say something." His voice turned impatient. "Don't think acting sick is gonna make me feel sorry for you." Lara closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She didn't want to waste another second on this man. "Get out." Nestor's temper flared. His hand trembled as he pointed at her. "You're impossible." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Chapter 5. When Lara woke up again, the sky outside was already tinged with the soft gold of dusk. She reached beside her pillow and found a fruit candy. Peeling it open, the tangy sweetness melted on her tongue, and her stomach finally felt a little less uneasy. Her eyes drifted to the calendar on the desk. She marked a red X over today's date. Another wasted day. She'd originally planned to go out and buy some things for college. But instead, her stomach growled. She rubbed it, still aching faintly, and pushed open the door. At the dining table, Nestor was diligently picking food into Lisa's bowl. Lisa had a small bowl of chicken soup in front of her, swirling the spoon bashfully. Seeing Lara come out, Nestor said stiffly, "You're up. Then hurry up and eat." Looking at their two faces, Lara had no appetite at all. But then she remembered the rice was brought back from the countryside by her. Why should she be the one to go hungry? So she sat down without a word and scooped herself a bowl of rice. Lisa looked up with a show of concern. "Sis, this chicken soup is really good. Want some?" She moved to push the bowl toward Lara. "No need." Nestor gently stopped her. "There's only one bowl. You're not well. You need the nourishment." He continued serving Lisa more food as he spoke. Lara, after all she'd experienced in her past life, felt numb to the whole scene. She ate her plain white rice in silence, completely unmoved by their act. Seeing her eat, Nestor assumed she'd cooled down and took the chance to speak. "From your attitude today, I guess you're not planning to apologize to Lisa, but you were clearly in the wrong yesterday. That soup was actually from Mrs. Chon. It was meant for you. I gave it to Lisa instead. Consider it an apology on your behalf." Clang! Lara slammed her bowl onto the table. The piercing noise startled Lisa, who shrieked and dove into Nestor's arms. He held her protectively, frowning at Lara. "It's just chicken soup. Why are you making a scene again?" Lara's gaze was cold. "I'm full." She stood up and left, leaving the messy table and two stunned faces behind. She'd learned from experience, arguing was pointless. No matter who gifted it, no matter who earned it, if it was something good, it always ended up in Lisa's hands. Rather than waste breath, she chose to walk away. In the following days, Lara focused on preparing for her move to M City. Train tickets, food vouchers, daily supplies. The red XS on the calendar multiplied. By the fifth one, she had everything ready. Then came a knock at the door. Lara opened it with little patience. Nestor stood there with a bowl of noodles. Speaking softly, "I saw you've been staying in your room since you came back, so I made you some noodles." Lara blinked in brief confusion. In her last life, Nestor was always cold, always cruel. This gentle side? She hadn't seen it in years. She replied flatly, "No need. I already ate outside." Nestor clearly didn't believe her. "You spend money eating out? You're always stingy." That hit a nerve. She had been frugal. She'd scrimped and saved, using almost every bit of money from her part-time jobs on him. But now, she was going to college. Money would be tight. Every cent mattered. Lara looked up at him, calm and steady. "I gave you 50 yuan a few days ago to buy wedding supplies. You didn't buy anything. Give it back." Nestor hesitated, then mumbled awkwardly, "I used it to buy a pair of shoes for Lisa." Lara scoffed. "Of course, same old story. Well then, if there's nothing else, I'm going to bed. I'll give it back tomorrow." Nestor's voice sharpened with irritation. "We're married. Why are you being so petty?" Lara let out a cold laugh. "So I can't even be upset that you used my hard-earned money to buy things for someone else?" He knew he was wrong, but still muttered, "She's your sister. You're being unreasonable." And he added, "I came to talk to you about something." Lara raised an eyebrow. "Of course. Here it comes, the real reason for his visit. I want to take Lisa to a city for a short trip first." Lara nodded indifferently. Noted. Nestor was clearly unsettled by her indifferent response. She used to chirp around him like a cheerful little sparrow. Now she barely said a word, and it made him deeply uneasy. "What's with you lately? You've changed." Lara looked at him, calm and cold, until he looked away. Uneasy. He knew deep down that taking Lisa first was wrong, but Lisa had cried, begged, clung to his arm. He couldn't refuse. "I'm not saying you can't go," he said stiffly, "just. Lisa's never been to a city. She wants to see it. I'll come back and take you later." Lara replied, not even looking up. But in her past life, she waited 8 whole years. He never took her anywhere, until Lisa married a second-gen military officer from a city. Only then, heartbroken, did Nestor finally bring Lara over. By then, she had suffered through 8 years of being mocked as a useless hen who couldn't lay eggs. Nestor grew even more restless seeing her flat response. He was convinced Lara was hiding something. Lara sold off a few worthless household items, mementos from her past life. Meaningless now. Nothing but junk. She packed them up, sold them cheap to a scrap collector, and got a bit of spare cash. That afternoon, she kept sorting through her belongings. Nestor appeared again, holding out 50 yuan with a stiff expression. "Here, your money." Lara took it and nodded. "Thanks." He looked at her, his gaze conflicted, then glanced at the packed luggage. "I told you, no need to travel, right? What's with all this?" Lara didn't want to stir the pot. She knew Nestor didn't love her, but if he found out the name on the marriage registration was Lisa's, he might just go and redo it out of love for Lisa, and she wanted nothing more to do with either of them. "Nothing," she said lightly, "just packing. Once you head to a city, I'll move back to the countryside." Chapter 6. Nestor let out a sigh of relief. Trying to ease the tension, he suddenly remembered how Lara had always insisted on taking wedding photos. So he suggested, "Didn't you always want to take our wedding pictures? Let's go to the studio tomorrow, okay?" Lara was about to come up with an excuse to decline, when Lisa walked in and wrapped herself affectionately around Nestor's arm. "Nestor, what photo studio? Lisa wants to take pictures too." Nestor gently patted Lisa's head with a smile. "Sure. Let's all go together tomorrow. You two go ahead. I've got things to do tomorrow." Nestor frowned. What could be more important than taking wedding photos? "We'll take the pictures first. Whatever you need. Lara will go with you after." His tone was firm, clearly not allowing any argument. Lisa pouted, playing coy. "Sis, you're not skipping just because I'm going, are you?" Lara didn't want to argue. She simply nodded and agreed. Early the next morning, Nestor was already in Lisa's room, coaxing her softly to get out of bed. On the calendar, the date circled in bright red reminded Lara only 4 days left. 4 more days, and she'd be free from all of this. She was growing impatient by the time they finally emerged from the room. Slowly and lazily, Nestor attentively boiled water and personally washed Lisa's face. Lara watched the scene in silence. She realized just how blind she had been in her past life, naively thinking that if she married him, he would treat her this way too. Lost in thought, she was pulled back to reality when Nestor approached, fidgeting, holding a small ring. "Mrs. Sun said couples are all wearing wedding rings nowadays, so, Lara, I bought one for you." Lara didn't take it. In her last life, this ring never even existed. Lisa immediately pouted. "That's so pretty. Lisa wants one too." Lara responded generously. "Then you can have it." Nestor's face darkened. "Don't joke like that. This is our wedding ring." Lisa had already snatched it up and slipped it on her finger, holding it up for Nestor to see as it sparkled. "Nestor, does it look good on me?" Nestor looked at Lisa, his eyes full of affection, smiling like a fool as he nodded. Then, a bit guilty, he turned to Lara and mumbled, "I'll get you another one next time." "I promise." Lara gave a nonchalant nod. She had heard his promises before, and none of them ever came true. At the studio, Lisa was the first to take her portraits. She even had several couple shots with Nestor. When it was finally Lara and Nestor's turn, the photographer raised the camera, then hesitated and lowered it awkwardly. "Oh no. Sorry, we're out of film." Lara celebrated inwardly, though her face remained calm. "Oh, then let's just forget it." Outside the studio, Nestor pulled a train ticket from his pocket and handed it to Lara. It was a standing ticket to City A. 4 days from now. "I'm not trying to abandon you. I'll go first to get things settled. I'll be waiting for you there." The The journey to City A took 3 full days and nights. How could he possibly think she'd manage that standing the whole way? And there was only one travel spot available. If she actually went, where would she even stay? But asking now wouldn't get her a real answer. Seeing that Lara accepted the ticket, Nestor clearly relaxed. Don't worry, even if we're not living in the base compound, you'll still be my only wife, Lara. I'll treat you well. Lisa's just like a sister to me. A flicker of emotion passed across Lara's face. He had never said things like that before. Maybe, she thought, maybe he wasn't completely heartless. Suddenly, a truck came speeding around the corner, swerving straight toward them. Nestor grabbed Lisa and leapt to the side with her in his arms. In the chaos, someone shoved Lara. She stumbled right into the truck's path. In her vision, the truck came barreling toward her, and she froze in terror. Her limbs went stiff. She couldn't move. At the very last second, the driver turned sharply, narrowly missing a direct hit. But the force of the turn still sent Lara flying, her body skidding several meters across the pavement. Pain exploded through her. Her vision went black for a moment as cold sweat poured down her face. The driver jumped out of the truck, panicked, stammering as he approached. "Miss, are you okay? Are you hurt bad?" A crowd quickly formed around them, whispering and pointing. Lara's eyes scanned past them all and locked onto Nestor. He was standing some distance away, holding Lisa tightly in his arms, whispering comforting words. He hadn't even looked her way. Or maybe he had, and just didn't care. Lara let out a hollow laugh. And with that, the last shred of doubt in her heart disappeared completely. So this was what he meant by "I'll treat you well." Chapter 7. The driver took Lara to the hospital. After a series of examinations, the results came back. Fortunately, it was only superficial injuries and slight internal displacement. Lying in the hospital bed, Lara's whole body ached, but her heart was strangely calm. Nestor, meanwhile, had stationed himself at Lisa's bedside, never leaving for a second, all because she had been frightened too badly. Only when the woman had fallen into a deep sleep did he finally, belatedly, remember. Lara was also lying in the hospital. Late into the night, Nestor walked into Lara's room, wearing a tired, worn-out expression. He saw she was awake, and a flicker of guilt crossed his face. "Lara, how are you feeling? Any better?" Lara looked at him coldly, saying nothing. He rubbed his hands, awkward and anxious. "Lisa, she was just too shaken up, so I stayed with her the whole time." Under Lara's unblinking stare, he fell silent. "Lara, listen, it all happened so fast." The car was closer to Lisa. "I acted on instinct." He hesitated, searching for words. "I didn't know that you would be hit." Lara cut him off. "When are you going to a city?" Caught off guard, he replied carefully. "I'm leaving tomorrow." "Got it. I want to rest." "You can go now." Lara closed her eyes, issuing a clear dismissal. Nestor opened his mouth to say more, but wisely held back and left the room. The next day, Mother Sue arrived. She came with a thermal container in her hands and a face full of cheerful smiles. "Lara, dear, Nestor asked me to come take care of you. How are you feeling now?" "Much better, thank you, Mom." As she ladled out soup for Lara, she chattered nonstop. "Nestor, that boy, so clumsy, I really don't know if he can properly take care of Lisa." Halfway through her sentence, she suddenly seemed to realize something and fell awkwardly silent. "Mom," Lara said calmly, "the one who married Nestor was Lisa." Mother Sue froze. It took a long moment for her to process what she'd heard. What did you say?" "I put Lisa's name on the marriage registration." Her eyes widened in shock, then quickly lit up with sheer joy. "Lara, you're such a good child. I always knew you were the sensible one." She clutched Lara's hand tightly, beaming with delight. Thank you for making this happen." Lara smiled faintly and said nothing. Making it happen? She had only made it happen for herself. In her past life, no matter how hard she tried to please Mother Sue, no matter how dutifully she served her. In the end, when Mother Sue passed away, every bit of her inheritance went to Lisa. "Mom, don't tell Nestor or Lisa about this just yet." Mother Sue nodded eagerly, her smile widening. Of course, I understand." And what about you? She asked. What do you plan to do next? I'll be leaving in a few days, Lara said vaguely, not revealing her destination. Mother Sue wanted to ask more, her mind full of wedding matters, but Lara closed her eyes and pretended to fall asleep. On the day of her discharge, it was also the day of her departure. Before she left, Lara wrote Nestor a letter. I know you've always loved Lisa, so I'll step aside and give you my blessing. What we had, it ends here. I wish you both happiness. She enclosed the letter with the train ticket to a city, and their marriage certificate, sealed the envelope, and mailed it to Nestor's address in a city. Then, dragging her suitcase, Lara headed for the train station, toward a new life. Chapter 8. Nestor felt uneasy. Lara's coldness lately was like a thorn lodged in his chest, especially that look she gave him from the hospital bed, calm and still, like dead water. It scared him for reasons he couldn't explain. He couldn't resist calling Sue's mother in the village. Ma, did Lara get on the train to City A today? Sue's mother hesitated. Yes. She left this morning, but in her mind, who knows where she went? Even she had to admit she hadn't paid enough attention to Lara. That girl was good. Just too quiet, not like Lisa, who always knew how to charm people. Hearing that Lara had gotten on the train, Nestor finally relaxed a bit. He hung up the phone and stepped out of the duty room, only to see Lisa once again chatting with Battalion 2's commander, Pablo Kim. Pablo was keeping his distance with a helpless look on his face. When he spotted Nestor, he looked like he'd seen a savior. Captain Sue. Thank God, your sister-in-law's up to something again. Before Nestor could get close, Pablo bolted. Nestor approached Lisa, frowning. Lisa, what is it now? If you need something, talk to me directly. Don't keep bothering others. Lisa pouted but responded with fake compliance. She knew she hadn't hooked Pablo yet, and she couldn't let go of Nestor either. You're my brother-in-law. I just wanted to avoid misunderstandings. Nestor frowned inwardly. Since when does she care about appearances? But he brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just shy. A week later, a letter arrived from Lara. Inside was a brief farewell note, a train ticket to City A, and their marriage certificate. It hit him like a punch. Lara had never planned on coming to City A. He remembered suddenly, at the hospital. She'd asked when he was leaving, and he had said tomorrow. She hadn't shown any sadness, no reluctance. Panic surged through him. He called Sue's mother again. Where did Lara go? He demanded. The sudden anger shocked her. She stammered. I don't know. She didn't say. Ma, she's just a girl, alone in a strange place. Where could she even go? Nestor was shouting. Sue's mother felt a pang of guilt. Lara had always been respectful, filial. Really, I don't know. Nestor hung up. His heart was in chaos. For the first time, he felt truly afraid, like he had lost something precious. Lisa stood holding the bright red marriage certificate, her face pale as paper. She stared at him, furious. What is this? You married me? With what right? Nestor rubbed his temples, voice laced with an irritation he didn't even recognize. Lara, she said she didn't want me anymore. She said she was giving us her blessing. Lisa's voice rose to a shriek. Blessing? What blessing? Who does she think she is to make decisions for me? I never wanted to marry you. Nestor froze. He had never expected this kind of reaction. He'd always assumed Lisa liked him, those teasing looks, the subtle intimacy. You don't like me? Lisa suddenly dropped to her knees. Her knees hit the floor with a dull thud. She looked up at him, her face streaked with tears. Nestor, please, do something. This marriage can't be valid. Startled by her sudden collapse, Nestor instinctively stepped back. Lisa, what are you doing? Get up! But she clung to his pants. I won't. Nestor, I like Commander Kim. He comes from a good family. If I marry him, I won't have wasted my life. Please help me. You don't want me to be miserable forever, right? Her eyes shone with desperation, like a drowning woman clutching at anything to survive. Pablo Kim, Battalion 2's commander, native of City A, rumored to have a powerful grandfather. For Lisa, who lived to climb the social ladder, he was the ultimate prize. Gone was the sweetness and fragility. In its place was wild ambition. Nestor felt a chill crawl up his spine. You, get up. Seeing his hesitation, Lisa lit up. You'll help me? You really will? Thank you. Nestor. Thank you. I'll figure something out. Nestor yanked free from her grip and stumbled out the door. Chapter 9. The train rushed southward, and the scenery outside the window blurred as it flew past. Lara sat quietly, her eyes on the fleeting landscape. She had ridden trains countless times in her life, but this was the first time she had the peace of mind to truly appreciate the view. In her past life, the first time she took a train to City A, her heart had been bursting with excitement and anxiety. After a long and exhausting journey, she finally arrived, just to be with the man she loved. But when she stepped off the train, Nestor's eyes scanned her travel-worn appearance with thinly veiled disgust. He only said coldly, "Why do you look so messy?" That one sentence shattered all her dreams. Afterward, she desperately learned how to dress up, tried her best to fit in with life in a city. But Nestor's heart was never with her. He thought she was unsophisticated, uneducated, awkward in conversation. Even her body, changed and worn by childbirth, he came to despise. Married life became nothing more than groceries, arguments, and crushed eggshells. She tried to remember when she had first fallen for him. The memory was vague now, like a dream faded by time. Maybe it was back when they had first arrived at the Sioux family's home, when she was still cautious, afraid to eat too much, and Nestor quietly placed more food in her bowl. Or maybe it was in junior high, when Mother Sioux wanted her to drop out of school, and Nestor had said, "If you won't let her go, I'll pay for it." It's not that much money. Her young heart had been overwhelmed. When she learned they could be engaged, she was secretly happy, even knowing full well she was just the second choice. Even knowing he didn't love her, but that was the kind of foolish, innocent love of youth. How could she not give everything willingly? "Miss, wake up, we're arriving." A rough voice pulled her out of her thoughts. Lara opened her eyes. The train had arrived in M City. As she stepped off, a wave of heat slammed into her. The air was thick with humidity. Strange and uncomfortable, yet somehow exhilarating. Back in a city, Nestor was far from enjoying any such freedom. The political commissar's subtle remarks were making him sweat bullets. "Nestor, you're a newlywed, right? So why didn't you bring your wife along? I heard it's your sister-in-law you brought." The commissar rubbed his teacup, casually but pointedly. Nestor's face flushed. She just wanted to see more of the world. The commissar clapped him on the shoulder and said with weight, "Sister-in-laws are young, they don't know better. But you need to be mindful of appearances. A man and a woman, living together unmarried, that kind of talk will ruin your reputation. Next time you're on leave, bring your wife." Leaving the office, Nestor could feel the back of his shirt soaked with sweat. Lisa had been way too high profile lately, chatting with Commander Pablo Kim from Battalion 2 every chance she got. Everyone at the base already knew he brought his sister-in-law on his honeymoon instead of his wife. Some had even witnessed him washing Lisa's undergarments. The rumors were getting out of hand. Frustrated, he returned home. Lisa was brushing her hair in front of the mirror. Seeing him, she whined sweetly. "Nestor, give me 10 yuan. I want to get a new silk scarf at the supply store, heard it's trending. And make me something with meat tonight. I'm really craving it." Nestor noticed the dirty footprints still on the floor. He'd tracked them in 2 days ago, and they were still there. Annoyance boiled up in him. "Lisa, why haven't you cleaned up? And didn't you just ask for 20 yuan a few days ago? What? You want more now? That's not how money works." Lisa tossed her comb down with a pout. "I only asked for a little." "Can't believe you're being stingy. Are you looking down on me now? Captain Kim is way more generous than you. I saw him give his sister 50 yuan without blinking." Nestor felt a headache coming on. Lately, Lisa had changed. She was becoming arrogant, demanding, and never satisfied. Yes, she had always been vain, but at least she used to pretend to be gentle. Now, she didn't even bother. Rubbing his temples, he forced himself to stay calm. "Lisa, I'm not looking down on you, but we're tight on money right now." He sighed, pulled a crumpled 10 yuan note from his pocket, and handed it to her. She snatched it with a grin. "Nestor, you're the best. I want braised pork tonight, don't forget the sugar." Then she skipped out of the house. Nestor groaned, remembering the commissar's warning. His headache worsened. The house was a mess. Dust and shoe prints everywhere. A sour, funky smell filled the air. He raked his hands through his hair, rolled up his sleeves, and started cleaning. When he bent down to pick up dirty clothes from the floor, the cheap, overpowering scent of Lisa's perfume made him gag. It was nothing like the clean, subtle soap scent Lara always had. And just like that, her face appeared in his mind. Lara, quietly scrubbing the floor, folding laundry, never asking for anything, just doing it all without a word. After they got engaged, she stayed at the base to cook and sew for him, even sneaking off to glue cardboard boxes at night, just to save up and buy meat for him. Nestor murmured to himself, "Lara, when I find you, I'll make things right." Chapter 10. In M City, Lara sat before a stack of thick textbooks, her head spinning. After being reborn, her knowledge was practically wiped out. Trying to relearn it all now felt harder than climbing a mountain. She clutched her hair in frustration. The universe is out to get me. Determined not to fail miserably in her final exams, she buried herself in the library every day, forcing herself to digest material that felt like ancient scripture. At night, she worked part-time at a small restaurant, carrying trays, washing dishes, wiping tables. She barely had time to breathe. Her clothes were soaked with sweat. Her back ached like it might fall apart, but still, she felt more grounded than ever. Compared to her past life, trapped in a tiny military compound, revolving around Nestor and their child. Now she was free, alive, and shining. At 11 p.m., the restaurant closed, dragging her tired body outside. Lara saw it had started pouring rain. She hadn't brought an umbrella and had no choice but to make a run for the dorms. "You're from M University, right? Let me walk you back. You'll catch a cold like this." A sudden umbrella hovered over her head. Lara looked up to see a tall guy with delicate features and gold-rimmed glasses. He was so tall that she barely reached his shoulder. He tilted the umbrella toward her side, exposing half his own body, which was quickly drenched. They didn't speak much along the way. Lara snuck glances at him. His features were refined, and his expression gentle. He radiated a clean, refreshing aura. At the dorm entrance, Lara thanked him sincerely. "Thank you. What's your name?" The guy smiled, revealing straight white teeth. "I'm Sam, computer science major. You?" "I'm Lara, foreign languages." Sam waved and disappeared into the rain. Lara watched him walk away, warmth blooming in her chest. That unexpected kindness gave her a rare moment of comfort in this unfamiliar city. Elsewhere, Nestor emerged from the political officer's office with a stormy expression. The marriage certificate couldn't be voided, only divorce was an option. To Nestor, divorce was a far worse stain than marrying the wrong person. A promising young pilot, freshly married and already divorced? Disgraceful. Just then, a call came in. It was Sue's mother. "Nestor, dear, I know this must be hard on you, but Lisa is your wife now. You can't just divorce her overnight. Didn't you like her a lot before? Maybe it's best to just go with it." Nestor held the phone silently. Yes, he had once thought Lisa was sweet, charming, wife material. But lately, his patience was wearing thin. He had asked her so many times to help with the housework. At the very least, have dinner ready when he came back from training. But Lisa always responded indignantly. "I don't know how to cook. I've never done it." "Didn't you say before that it didn't matter? Why are you asking so much now?" He paused. He didn't even know why, but lately, he kept comparing her to Lara, wishing she could be like her, frugal, responsible, hardworking. He rubbed his temples in frustration. He felt suffocated. Standing at the base entrance, he couldn't bring himself to go in. "Nestor, what are you doing standing out here?" Mrs. Lee, holding groceries, looked at him with confusion. He forced a smile. "It's nothing." But she grabbed his arm and pulled him aside conspiratorially. "Your sister-in-law borrowed a radio coupon from my husband. Said she'd return it in 2 days. It's been ages. My mother-in-law won't stop nagging me about it." She had managed to get that coupon for her mother-in-law's birthday. Now it was gone because her husband lent it to Lisa. Nestor looked stunned. "Radio coupon? Lisa borrowed that?" Another neighbor chimed in angrily. Nestor, your sister-in-law borrowed 50 yuan from me on Wednesday. She told me to ask you. You better not deny it. His face grew darker and darker. 50 yuan wasn't pocket change. He barely earned just over 100 a month, and Lisa borrowed that much behind his back? And me too. An elderly woman squeezed through. She said she wanted to buy fabric for a new dress. Took 20 yuan from me and promised to return it soon. It's been too long. More and more neighbors surrounded him, all talking over each other about Lisa borrowing money. Nestor felt his brain buzzing. Lately, Lisa kept asking him for money. He refused, and she stopped fussing. He thought she'd accepted it. Never imagined she'd been borrowing left and right. Chapter 11. Nestor forced down the fire burning in his chest and squeezed out a smile. Ladies, aunts. I'm really sorry. I didn't know anything about this. How about this? Let me go home and check what's going on. I'll get back to you all later. With that, he turned and practically fled into the base. The moment he opened the door, he saw Lisa standing in front of the mirror, dressed in a crisp Dacron dress she'd asked someone to bring from Shanghai, smearing lipstick on her lips. Lisa, you. Nestor had barely begun when Lisa cut him off in a playful tone. Nestor, you're back. Come help me look. Is this dress pretty? I'm going to Commander Kim's place for dinner. I can't embarrass myself. Nestor looked at her, and a wave of disgust rose in his chest. Lisa, have you borrowed a lot of money lately? Lisa's hand paused mid-swipe, and her eyes flickered. Feigning confusion, she replied, Borrow money? No way. What are you talking about? No? Then what about Sister Lee and Sister Chan? They both said you borrowed from them. Lisa's face changed. Then came the tears. Nestor, how can you not believe me? They're making things up. I've always been well-behaved since I was little. Nestor's frustration only grew at the sight of her pitiful act. He grabbed her by the shoulders, his tone sharp. Lisa, you'd better be honest. How much did you borrow? Startled, Lisa sobbed. I just borrowed a little. How much is a little? Just a few hundred. Her voice dropped to a whisper. A few hundred? Nestor felt like he was about to explode. Lisa, do you know what a few hundred yuan means? My monthly stipend is just 100, and you borrowed several hundred? Seeing she couldn't keep the lie going, Lisa dropped the act and snapped back. So what if I borrowed money? You refused to help me get close to Commander Kim, so I had to buy gifts and make an effort myself. Look at those Air Force wives, don't they all dress in gold and silk? If I go out looking like a pauper, how am I supposed to compete? Nestor let out a bitter laugh. Oh, impressive. And what about the radio coupon? What do you have to say about that? Lisa's eyes gleamed with pride. I bought a radio. That was my gift for my future mother-in-law. Commander Kim's mom loved it. She even invited me over for dinner tonight. Nestor, if I marry well, won't that reflect well on you, too? Who knows? Maybe I'll whisper a few sweet words in bed and help you get promoted. She reached for his arm, but Nestor swatted her hand away. He looked at her blankly. The Kim family won't accept a divorced woman. Lisa froze. Divorced? What do you mean? Nestor sneered. Our marriage certificate can't be voided, it can only be dissolved. Through divorce. You think Pablo's that kind of man? You think he'd marry someone with a divorce on her record? It was like a lightning bolt out of a clear sky. Lisa stood there, stunned. Tears welled up in her eyes as she murmured, No, it's not true. She had always dreamed of marrying into power and wealth, living a life of luxury. Now, for the first time, she regretted taking Nestor from Lara, the regimental wife status she had coveted. The bright future she envisioned vanished just like that. Chapter 12. Lara had no idea what was happening back at the base. At the moment, she was struggling with her advanced math exercises, her fingers clawing at her hair, her brows tightly knotted. Sitting across from her, Sam watched her with helpless amusement. You can't remember the integration formulas, and you're mixing up derivatives. How on earth did you get into M University? Lara stuck her tongue out sheepishly and mumbled. Come on, just one more time, last one. I promise. She raised a finger and gave him a playful wink. She honestly didn't know how she could have forgotten everything so thoroughly. A soft warmth flickered in Sam's eyes. He cleared his throat, picked up his pen again, and resumed explaining. As she watched his focused side profile, Lara's mind drifted. After bumping into each other a few times in the library, they had started talking, and somehow, he ended up tutoring her in math. Did you get it? Sam's voice pulled her back to reality. Lara blinked and looked at the problem, totally lost. Seeing her blank stare, Sam's temple twitched. He put down his pen and rubbed his forehead. Finish these properly. After that, I'll take you to the snack street. Maybe some food will wake your brain up. I'm not that easy to bribe. Lara pouted playfully. Sam couldn't help but smile at her childish expression. You're so much livelier now. You used to look like the world had crushed you. Lara paused, then smiled softly. He was right. In this life, she hadn't gone through the pain of unrequited love, or the exhaustion of marriage and motherhood. No wonder she was so much more cheerful. They packed up their books, chatting and laughing as they left the library. While debating which food stall to go to, the security guard suddenly called out, "Hey Lara, you got a letter." She blinked, surprised, and accepted the envelope. Seeing that it was from her old homeroom teacher, a wave of unease rose inside her. She tore it open and scanned the contents. Her face turned pale. The letter said that Nestor's family had been asking everywhere about her whereabouts. Under pressure, the teacher had revealed that she was studying at M University. Sam noticed her reaction and asked gently, "What's wrong?" Lara forced a smile, crumpled the letter, and shoved it in her pocket. Nothing, just a small family matter. Sam saw the paleness on her face and frowned, but didn't press. Back at the dorm, Lara couldn't keep calm. She thought Nestor couldn't wait to be rid of her. She never expected he'd go to such lengths to find her. Was he regretting it? Regretting marrying Lisa? As soon as the thought came, she shook it off. Nestor was far too proud to admit mistakes. Besides, he loved Lisa so much, how could he ever regret it? She spent the whole day anxious. That night, lying in bed, she tossed and turned, unable to sleep. All she could see in her mind was Nestor's cold face. She didn't know if he'd come to M City, or what he might do if he did. That kind of unknown fear was suffocating. Back at the base, Lisa got up unusually early and went to the cafeteria to fetch breakfast. "Nestor, breakfast's ready." Nestor glanced at the porridge and buns on the table and snorted. "What trick are you trying now? Want money?" Lisa's eyes instantly turned red. "Nestor, I was wrong. I was confused. I thought about it all night. It was my fault. I won't do it again." His expression softened slightly, though the suspicion in his eyes hadn't gone away. Lisa seized the moment and hugged him, tears streaming down her face. "Nestor, I don't want to marry Commander Kim anymore. We're already married. Let's make this work, okay?" She buried her face in his chest, her voice soft and trembling like a scared kitten. Nestor shifted uncomfortably. He wasn't used to Lisa being so affectionate all of a sudden. Instinctively, he wanted to push her away, but hesitated. "I need to go train." Lisa let go immediately and nodded sweetly. "Okay, be careful." Once he was gone, the fragility on her face vanished, and a glint of triumph lit her eyes. Nestor's coldness didn't faze her at all. If she couldn't have Commander Kim, she'd cling to Nestor instead. Men were all the same in the end. Nestor held the slip of paper with Lara's address. He had been fidgeting with it for hours. It held her location at M University, and he still didn't know what he was going to do with it. Chapter 13. He didn't know if he should go find her, nor what he would even do if he did. "Captain, I'd like to request a day off." The co-pilot's honest voice pulled Nestor out of his thoughts. He looked up to see him standing awkwardly in the doorway, holding a bag of brown sugar. "What is it? Something at home?" The co-pilot scratched his head, a little embarrassed. "My wife, it's that time of the month. She's in a lot of pain. I need to go take care of her." Nestor blinked, then gave a dry laugh. "Isn't that a bit much? Don't women go through that every month?" The co-pilot shot him a disapproving look. "If her husband doesn't care, who will?" "Captain, does your wife get cramps too?" Nestor was speechless. Did Lara suffer? He thought, yes, she did. He remembered her lying in bed, clutching her stomach, her face pale, forehead beaded with sweat, brows furrowed in pain. He had made her ginger and brown sugar tea once, but after Lisa moved into the base, all the brown sugar had gone to Lisa. And he had just forgotten. Suddenly, he realized how little he had cared for Lara as her fiancée. "Captain?" The co-pilot called again. Nestor came back to himself, guilt twisting in his chest. He stood up, walked over, and patted the man's shoulder. "Approved. Go take good care of your wife." The co-pilot grinned widely. "Thanks, Captain." Nestor went to the political officer and requested leave. Though puzzled, the officer approved it. Nestor didn't know if this was right or wrong. He just knew he had to do something. The green train chugged south. A woman nearby wore a Lenin-style synthetic fabric dress. It reminded him of the time Lara looked at one in a shop window, her eyes sparkling. "When I save up enough, I'll wear this when we take our wedding photo, okay?" Her voice then had been soft, like a spring breeze. He'd barely responded. And later, took Lisa out for dinner instead. That dress had ended up on Lisa, and the wedding photo never happened. Next stop, M City. The loudspeaker pulled him out of memory, following the address on the slip of paper. He asked around until he reached M University. The campus gates were more grand than he imagined. Students walked by, full of life and energy. The bell rang. Students poured out like a tide. And then he saw her, Lara. She was chatting with classmates. Her face lit up with a radiant smile. Her hair was short now, neat and confident. She was nothing like the quiet, submissive girl he once knew. She had completely transformed. Nestor stared in awe, heart pounding. Only now did he realize her features were delicate. It had been her constant sadness that had hidden her beauty. He took a deep breath, gathered his courage, and stepped forward. "Lara." She turned at the sound of her name. When she saw him, her smile vanished instantly. "What are you doing here?" Seeing the coldness in her eyes, he panicked. She had changed, no longer the meek, obedient Lara he remembered. He stood before her, gaze intense. "I came to take you back to City A." "City A? Why would I go there? I'm not the one who got married." The words hit him like a slap. "Why did you do it? Why did you put Lisa's name on the marriage form? Why didn't you come to City A?" Lara looked at him, eyes sharp as blades. "I don't want a husband who only has another woman in his heart. It's disgusting. It hurts too much." He stared at her, shocked. "You never spoke like this before." Lara lowered her gaze, hiding the scorn. "Nestor, I just want to study now. Start over. Lisa is the one you always wanted, isn't she? Then treasure her. But don't come bothering me again." Nestor ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "That's not true. I always saw Lisa as a sister." Lara laughed coldly. "Since when do brothers hug and kiss on the lips?" She remembered that moment, catching Nestor stealing a kiss from a sleeping Lisa. That gentleness in his eyes. It had never been for her. Shame and fury flashed across his face. "That's not true. Lisa and I are innocent." Lara's voice turned frigid. "That so-called sibling love? It disgusts me. Let me go, and let yourself go, too." Nestor turned pale, speechless. The sunlight in M City bathed Lara, coating her in gold. She radiated brilliance, so bright, it hurt his eyes. So bright. He felt small. Lara broke the silence. "If you've got nothing else to say, I'm leaving." Nestor watched her walk away. This Lara, he didn't know her at all. Chapter 14. Nestor remembered how, as a child, Lisa used to follow him around everywhere. She'd call him Big Brother in that sweet baby voice, her wide, watery eyes full of admiration. Lara, on the other hand, had always been quiet, like a shadow in the corner. Eventually, all his attention turned to the lively, lovable little sister. Lara's silence seemed dull and boring to him, while Lisa's flirtatious pouts stirred his heart. When Lisa had pushed him toward marrying Lara, he'd felt bitter, felt like she didn't value him. Almost out of spite, he accepted the engagement. After they were engaged, he could feel Lara's care. She looked after him meticulously, cooked, cleaned, washed his clothes. When he was sick, she stayed up all night by his side, but he took it all for granted, even found her annoying at times. Never once did he think about the effort and patience behind her tenderness. As he walked past a supply store, a gray polyester shirt caught his eye in the window. He suddenly thought of Lara, always wearing faded old clothes. His chest tightened. He wanted to buy her something new, a proper Lenin-style jacket. But he didn't have enough money. He checked his pocket, only enough coupons for the gray shirt. So he stepped inside. "Comrade, I'll take that gray polyester shirt." The shopkeeper handed it to him from the display. Holding it, he imagined Lara wearing it. A small smile crept onto his lips. Back at the dormitory, the girls were chatting animatedly. As expected, the topic was tomorrow's Mid-Autumn Festival. One roommate asked excitedly, "It's a holiday tomorrow. How should we celebrate?" Another girl, from out of town, added a little wistfully, "Let's have a gathering, like a little reunion festival here at school." She turned to Lara. "You'll join us too, right?" Lara froze. Mid-Autumn was also her birthday. As a child, even though her parents didn't care much for her, she at least got a tiny cupcake. But after being adopted, no one remembered anymore. She nodded gently. "Sure." Just then, someone called out, "Lara, someone's looking for you downstairs." She headed down, surprised to find Sam waiting. "Something wrong?" Sam smiled lightly. "Got plans for tomorrow?" "Dinner with roommates, then maybe a movie." Sam chuckled and pulled out a beautifully wrapped box. Then, "Happy early birthday." Lara froze. "How did you know tomorrow's my birthday?" Sam smiled mysteriously. "Not telling." Lara blushed as she accepted the gift. It was the first time anyone had given her a birthday present. The first time someone had done it with such sincerity. But Sam shoved it gently into her hands. "If you feel awkward, just remember to get me something on my birthday. I love getting gifts." Lara nodded, face red, just about to ask when his birthday was when a furious voice exploded. "What are you doing?" Nestor stormed up, eyes locked on the gift in Lara's hands. "How can you just accept things from a man like that?" The moment was ruined. Lara shot him a cold glance. "What's it to you?" Her tone stabbed Nestor in the chest. She had just smiled so sweetly at that guy. Now she was treating him like an icicle. He snapped. "Give it back! I got you something too." He pulled out the neatly folded gray shirt and shoved it toward her. Lara didn't even look. "No, thanks." Nestor panicked. "Why not? You take things from him but reject mine? Did you fall for him already?" Sam cut in calmly. "Watch your words. It's just a birthday gift." Nestor faltered under Sam's steady gaze and snapped instinctively. "Her birthday? It's May 26th. A chill spread from Lara's chest. She said, stone-faced, "That's Lisa's birthday." Nestor froze. Today was Lara's birthday? He couldn't recall ever celebrating it. Just the lively parties for Lisa, and someone always casually saying, "Lara's birthday too, I guess." A strange guilt welled up inside him, quickly shoved back down with stubborn pride. "And what? You two are so close he gets to give you birthday presents?" Chapter 15. Lara grabbed Sam's arm, her voice ice cold. "Let's go." "Ignore him." Nestor watched them, the closeness between the two stoking the flames of jealousy and bitterness in his chest. "What are you mad about now? You used to say I never bought you anything, now I do. And this is how you act." Sam stepped forward, blocking Nestor's aggressive stare. His eyes fell on the gray shirt in Nestor's arms, and he said with a trace of sarcasm, "Lara doesn't like gray, and it's clearly not even her size." Nestor's expression darkened. "What do you know? Most of her clothes are gray, how could she not like it?" Lara responded flatly. "Because it's cheap, easy to make. You bought it for me because it was cheap, didn't you?" Meeting her distant gaze, Nestor felt as though someone had ripped the clothes off his soul. It was true, he had enough money for a navy blue one, but this one was discounted because of a stain on the hem. He thought Lara wouldn't mind. She'd always been frugal, never asked for anything, not like Lisa, who always wanted the best. Now, shame washed over him like a tide. He tried to explain, but no words came out. Lara didn't want to tangle with him anymore. Her tone was final. "I'm not going back to City A with you. You're already married. Stop chasing me. I'm doing just fine." In the days that followed, Nestor lingered around the university. Lara avoided him at all costs. She wanted nothing more to do with him. But she never expected him to go to the dean and try to have her expelled. When she was called into the office, Nestor was already seated upright, looking serious. Fury surged inside her. Nestor, what the hell are you doing? Who gave you the right to try and have me withdrawn? Come back with me, my leave is running out. He stood up and tried to take her hand. Lara stepped back sharply, dodging his touch. Back? So I can watch you cuddle up with Lisa again? His face stiffened. He snapped in anger. Lara, don't talk nonsense. We're still married. What kind of marriage is this? Living so far apart. Lara almost laughed from sheer disbelief. Nestor, your wife is Lisa. Her name is on the marriage certificate, and she's the one you love. His face turned stormy. He clenched his teeth. That was a mistake, and mistakes need to be corrected. My actions made you misunderstand, but I won't be like that anymore. Lara's heart turned cold. She'd heard that line before, in her past life. And still, he went back to Lisa without hesitation. She turned to the dean, her voice firm and sincere. Dean, I truly want to continue studying here. Please don't let him withdraw me. The dean looked at her, then at Nestor, and after a pause said, Mr. Sue, if you have no legal relationship with Miss Lara, you have no right to process her withdrawal. Lara finally breathed a sigh of relief. Nestor opened his mouth to argue, but the dean cut him off. Mr. Sue, if that's all, please leave. I have work to do. Chapter 16. Nestor was starting to get anxious. The holiday was coming to an end, bit by bit. But Lara wasn't just avoiding him, she was growing colder by the day. Once again, he intercepted her after class. When Lara saw him, her brow furrowed immediately and she turned to leave. Nestor rushed forward and blocked her path. Lara, just hear me out. Before he could finish, a frail figure burst out from behind him, crying out, Sister! Nestor froze in place, struck like lightning. It was Lisa. He hadn't even told Lisa he was coming to M City. Now he cast a guilty glance at Lara, then back at Lisa, who stood there sobbing pitifully. His mind went blank. Lisa clung to Lara's arm, crying even harder. Sister, please, let's go back. I'll divorce Nestor. I don't want this. I don't want to take your husband. I'm a terrible person. Students quickly gathered around, whispering and pointing at the scene. Lara felt her face burn with embarrassment and tried to shake Lisa off. But Lisa's hand gripped her sleeve like a vice. Nestor's heart softened. He looked at the two women, one cold and resolute, the other weak and helpless, and felt like he had failed them both. He reached out to hold Lisa's shoulder, but hesitated because of Lara. His hand hovered midair, then slowly dropped. Lisa, stop crying. This isn't your fault. His voice was low and hoarse, tinged with barely noticeable guilt. How is it not my fault? I never should have fallen for Nestor. That's why she misunderstood. Lisa sobbed even harder, as if carrying the weight of the world. To Lara, the entire performance was pathetic. In her past life, Lisa had done the same thing, playing the victim to win Nestor's sympathy. The murmurs of the crowd were like waves crashing in Lara's ears. She wouldn't let herself become a laughingstock again, and she'd be damned if people painted her as the other woman. She yanked Lisa's hand away and shouted, I don't want anything to do with your marriage. I'm not a homewrecker. You came at the right time. Take your husband and leave me alone. Lisa stumbled back, nearly falling. Nestor caught her quickly. Are you okay, Lisa? She shook her head gently, tears in her eyes. I'm fine. I think my sister really hates me now. Lara, you've misunderstood. Nestor looked at her, trying to explain, but Lisa and Lara didn't want to hear another word. She turned and walked away. All she wanted was distance from them and their drama. Nestor stared after her retreating figure, frustration knotting his chest. He wanted to fix things, save the marriage, but Lara's attitude left him lost. Lisa nestled into his arms, sneaking a glance in the direction Lara had gone. A cold smile flickered at the corners of her lips. Back at the guest house, Lisa sat on the edge of the bed, tears streaming down her cheeks. Nestor, do you hate me now? Do you think I'm not as good as my sister? Nestor stared at her, speechless. He never imagined himself in such an awkward position. He sighed and sat down beside her, not daring to touch her. Lisa, don't think like that. Of course not. She looked up at him, her teary eyes full of sorrow. Nestor, I knew my sister liked you. That's why I hid my feelings and let you two get engaged. I thought I could let go, but fate tied us together again. Nestor, I really want to be with you. As she spoke, she grabbed his hand. Her slender fingers trembled slightly. If you can't let go of her, I'll go beg her. I'll get on my knees if I have to. Lisa, don't. She looked up, eyes blurry with tears. He looked at Lisa, but all he could see was Lara walking away. His heart was in turmoil. Lisa, I'm sorry. He finally said the truth. I used to like you, but I can't forget Lara. I've wronged her too much. Yes, we were too close before. It's no wonder she misunderstood. But now I want to make things right with her. Lisa froze. Her carefully constructed act nearly fell apart. She took a deep breath and forced a smile. It's okay, Nestor. I understand. I never meant to steal her husband. She paused, then murmured, I'm hungry. Nestor finally realized they hadn't eaten all day. He stood up and patted her shoulder. I'll get something to eat. Wait here for me. Lisa nodded sweetly, watching him leave. As soon as the door closed, she pulled out a white packet from her bag. Carefully, she tore it open and poured the powder into a glass of water. Chapter 17. It was an aphrodisiac that Lisa had managed to get from a veterinarian after much effort. It was meant for pigs, strong and effective. She had only used a third of it. That should be more than enough. Watching as the water in the cup turned cloudy, a cold smile curled at her lips. In this life, Nestor was destined to be hers. When Nestor returned, Lisa had already resumed her weak, helpless appearance. She took the meal box he handed her and nibbled on it slowly, bite by bite. Every now and then, she looked up at him, eyes full of affection. Nestor avoided her gaze, the guilt eating away at him. He felt like he had failed Lara, and Lisa too. He picked up a piece of meat and placed it in her bowl. Eat more. You're too skinny. Lisa nodded sweetly and smiled. Thank you, Nestor. After dinner, she handed him the cup of water she had prepared. Nestor, drink some water. He took it and drank it all in one gulp. Within 5 minutes, Nestor started to feel hot. A burning heat surged from deep inside. His breathing grew heavy, and his eyes turned hazy. Lisa fell into his arms, a flicker of triumph in her gaze. He mumbled, reaching out to stroke her cheek. Lara, I miss you so much. Lisa felt a wave of disgust rise in her throat but suppressed it. With a soft, delicate voice, she responded and leaned in to kiss his lips. The night blurred into passion and shadows. The next morning, Nestor woke with a pounding headache. He turned to see Lisa sleeping beside him. Guilt and regret washed over him like a flood. He could vaguely remember that something had happened the night before, but everything was fuzzy. What he did remember was that he had mistaken Lisa for Lara. Lisa rubbed her eyes. Nestor, you're awake. He looked at her sleepy face, panic rising in his chest. He didn't know how to face Lisa. He didn't even know how to face Lara. Lisa, I'm sorry. A wave of helplessness surged through him. He and Lara, there really was no going back. Lisa seemed to have anticipated this. She nestled closer to his chest and whispered, Nestor, don't say that. I understand. I don't blame you. I wanted this, and we are married. After all, Nestor turned away, looking at her bashful expression, feeling even more ashamed. He took a deep breath and said firmly, I'll take responsibility. I'll do right by you. Lisa blushed and nodded, then asked softly, Nestor, how long are we staying in M City? He thought for a moment. I'll go buy tickets. We'll leave tomorrow. There was no reason to stay any longer. Shouldn't we go see my sister one more time? Nestor gave a bitter smile. No, better not. Let's not bother her. Just yesterday, he had still been thinking of reconciling with Lara, but now, he didn't even have the courage to face her. Something about all of this felt off. But looking at Lisa's seemingly innocent face, he suppressed that instinct. Out of his sight, Lisa rolled her eyes with contempt. Still pretending to be in love with Lara? How pathetic. Meanwhile, Lara had no idea what had happened. She was busy preparing for her upcoming interview. Chapter 18. The school principal, having heard about her situation from somewhere, personally arranged a part-time job for her as an English translator at a newspaper. The job not only paid well, but also allowed her to apply her skills. Lara clutched the recommendation letter tightly, her heart full of joy. Still, the thought of the interview made her a bit nervous. On the day of the interview, she wore the dress Sam had given her for her birthday. It was a light green color, perfectly tailored to highlight her slender figure and graceful demeanor. She twirled once in front of the mirror, a smile unconsciously curling on her lips. "You look beautiful," Sam said genuinely. Lara blushed. "Thank you, Sam. No need to thank me. You deserve it," Sam replied warmly. "Come on, I'll walk you there." Along the way, Sam kept encouraging her, easing her anxiety. "It's okay, Lara. Just do your best." Lara took a deep breath and nodded. With Sam's presence and support, her panicked heart slowly calmed down. At the newspaper office, Lara gathered her courage and entered the interview room. The interviewer's questions were technical and tough, but she answered every one with confidence. She demonstrated a solid foundation and fluent spoken English. After the interview, the lead examiner smiled and said, "Comrade Lara, you did very well. We're very impressed. Congratulations. You've been hired." Relief washed over Lara, and a bright smile spread across her face. "Thank you." Lara truly loved English, even in her past life. Without attending college, she had never stopped studying it. Outside the building, she spotted Sam waiting by the door. She ran up to him, practically beaming. "I passed the interview." Sam smiled too, his eyes full of genuine pride. "I knew you would." "Thank you, Sam," Lara said sincerely. "I really don't know what I would have done without you." "Silly girl, don't say that," Sam said, gently ruffling her hair. "We're friends. We're supposed to help each other. Come on, let me treat you to a meal." Lara looked into his gentle eyes, warmth rising in her chest. The bubbling clay pot soup drove away the winter chill. She had barely eaten all day, and now dug in hungrily, not caring about her appearance. "Slow down. No one's taking it from you." Halfway through the meal, she felt a tickle on her nose. Looking up, she saw Tom Fu grinning at her, holding up a grain of rice. "Is your face hungry too?" he teased. Lara blushed deep red and quickly looked down. She knew he didn't just see her as a friend, his eyes made that obvious. But right now, all she wanted was to work hard and live well. Everything else could wait. Winter break arrived, and Sue's mother called again and again, urging Lara to come home for New Year. After all, they had raised her. Lara couldn't be completely heartless. After much thought, she finally bought a train ticket and returned to S-City, bags full of New Year gifts in hand. Chapter 19. As soon as he stepped into the Sue household, a shrill voice rang out. "Nestor, what the hell do you mean by this? I'm carrying your child, not here to be mistreated." Lara froze. She saw Lisa, heavily pregnant, yelling furiously at Nestor. Nestor's face was ashen, but he didn't dare fight back. He could only try to calm her in a low voice. "Lisa, calm down. The doctor said you shouldn't get too emotional. It's bad for the baby. I want that coat. And you're buying it now. Lisa, can we wait until next month? I've already used up this month's stipend." He carefully helped Lisa sit down. "No money? Figures, you're useless. Still just a pilot. Or are you saving that money for someone else?" Nestor's expression darkened. "Lisa, don't talk nonsense. If we're short on money, it's because I had to pay off your debts. And you still spend like crazy." After they slept together, Lisa had pretended to be the perfect wife for a while. She wasn't as capable as Lara, but at least she put up a front. But ever since she got pregnant, her true self had emerged, lazy, entitled, and reckless with money. "So now I'm a burden? You're still thinking about Lara, aren't you? Don't think I don't know. You convinced Mom to invite her to dinner. Your heart's never been mine. It's always hers." Lisa sobbed and pounded her fists against his chest. Nestor's patience wore thin. "I told you I'm not. Stop being unreasonable." Lara stood at the door, watching the scene with bitter amusement. In her past life, with her around, they'd seemed like soulmates. Now that she'd stepped aside, they had become a resentful couple. Lisa noticed Lara and sneered. Well, look who's back, the apple of someone's eye. Nestor was overwhelmed with embarrassment. He didn't say a word. He just shook Lisa's hand off and stormed out the door. Sue's mother rushed out from the kitchen at the noise. Her eyes bounced between her son's back and Lisa's furious face, before settling on Lara. Lara, you're back. Don't mind Lisa. Ever since she got pregnant, her mood swings are out of control. She stepped forward, trying to take Lara's hand, but Lara subtly pulled away. Her expression was calm but tired. Mom, I'm a little exhausted. I'd like to rest in my room. Sue's mother's face stiffened but didn't press. She nodded and turned back to Lisa, now coaxing her gently, so different from the overbearing mother-in-law Lara remembered. No matter how hard Lara had tried in the past, she never won her approval. Whenever she and Nestor argued, Sue's mother always sided against her. Back in her room, Lara opened her suitcase and pulled out Sam's New Year's gift, a red cashmere scarf. She wrapped it around her neck and looked in the mirror. A smile tugged at her lips. In the past, trying to please Nestor and his mother, she went years without new clothes, wore leftovers, wore hand-me-downs. Now, she just wanted to please herself. The red scarf made her skin look even fairer, and it reminded her of Sam's gentle eyes. Happy New Year, Lara. His voice still echoed in her mind. She touched the scarf gently, smiling wider. Outside, Nestor smoked furiously, lost in clouds of haze. How had he ever thought Lisa's bratty personality was cute? Now it was just spoiled and insufferable. He turned and saw Dr. Chan walking over with his medicine kit and a half bag of apples. Well, look who it is. What's with the long face? Young Sue? You look like you owe the world money. Dr. Chan laughed heartily, clearly teasing. Nestor forced a smile. Dr. Chan, what brings you here? Just got back from the countryside, dropping off some things. He shook the cloth bag in his hand. Oh, right, by the way, are y'all still raising pigs at the base? Because last time, your wife came by asking for that. He paused, lowered his voice. That breeding drug, for pigs, strong stuff. Did it work? Nestor nearly dropped his cigarette. He froze, head buzzing. A terrible realization crept in. What? My wife? When did she ask for that? Dr. Chan scratched his head. Early October. She came in a rush. Said the pigs weren't going into heat and needed it urgently. Took it and left. A memory flashed. That night in the guest house with Lisa. Fury exploded in his chest. Lisa. She had set him up. Chapter 20. When he got home, Nestor stormed straight into the bedroom. Lisa was lying on the bed, eating nuts. Lisa! Veterinarian Chan told me you asked him for aphrodisiacs early last October. Lisa looked up, a flash of panic in her eyes, but quickly composed herself. Aphrodisiacs? What are you talking about? I have no idea what you mean. Nestor let out a bitter laugh, his voice full of fury. No idea? Don't tell me you didn't use that stuff on me. Lisa went silent for a moment, then simply admitted it. Yeah, so what? Nestor could barely believe his ears. You really dared? What right do you have to blame me? Lisa sat up on the bed, her voice full of resentment. If you hadn't kept flirting with me even after getting engaged, would Lara have left you? Would I have ended up married to you? So what if I schemed a little? I just wanted to be your wife for real. Nestor stared at the hysterical woman in front of him, disgust churning in his chest. He had never imagined the sweet, gentle girl he thought he knew would turn out like this. He couldn't hold back any longer. He raised his hand and slapped her hard. Smack. Lisa froze, clutching her cheek. She never thought Nestor would actually hit her. A second later, she burst into tears, grabbing the nearest pillow and hurling it at him. You hit me? How dare you? You bastard. You traitor. I'll tell everyone what you did. She started rampaging around the room, smashing whatever she could grab. Just then, Sue's mother rushed in, panic on her face. When she saw the mess, she was stunned. What happened here? Lisa threw herself into her arms, sobbing, "Mom, he hit me. Nestor hit me." Sue's mother's face darkened immediately. She shouted furiously, "Nestor, how could you lay a hand on your wife? She's pregnant. Do you have no conscience?" Nestor said nothing. He just stood there, watching the drama unfold, his heart hollow. Lisa's emotions spiraled out of control. Her face turned pale, and she clutched her belly. "My stomach, it hurts." Sue's mother panicked. She held Lisa tightly and cried out, "Nestor, hurry! Take her to the hospital." Nestor snapped out of it, scooped Lisa into his arms, and ran out the door. On the way, Lisa began bleeding from the stress and pain. At the hospital, chaos ensued. After an emergency examination, the doctor finally let out a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, the baby's fine, but she'll need to stay under observation for 3 days. Absolute bed rest, no stress, no sudden movement." Outside the room, Sue's mother sighed repeatedly. During New Year of all times, how did things turn out like this? If only you had married Lara. "Mom, enough." Nestor cut her off. "Go get some dinner. Lisa will wake up soon." He couldn't hear another word about Lara. That name, those 3 syllables, were a thorn buried in his heart. Silently aching, he sat on the cold hospital bench and lit a cigarette. He regretted everything. But what good was regret? He couldn't turn back time, nor undo what had already been done. Chapter 21. Lara had also received the news and rushed to the hospital. When Lisa opened her eyes and saw Lara, her gaze turned venomous. She snapped with hatred. "Are you happy now, seeing me like this?" Lara sighed. She had genuinely believed they would be happy together. After all, in her previous life, well into her 50s, Nestor and their son had knelt, begging her for a divorce, just so he could be with Lisa again. "I never wanted you to suffer." Her tone carried helplessness and bitterness. Lisa sneered with disdain. "Who do you think you are? Do you really believe everything you did was for my own good?" She struggled to sit up, voice sharp and cutting. "I was this close to becoming the wife of a battalion commander. I could have had a city household registration. And thanks to you, I ended up married to this useless man. Nestor, I hate you. I hate you so much." Inside the hospital room, Lara watched her sister silently. Lisa kept ranting, teeth clenched, pouring out her resentment and blame without pause. A bitter feeling rose in Lara's heart. She sighed and said quietly, "Take care of yourself. Once you're out, live however you want." Lisa snorted but stopped shouting. She turned her head away and ignored her. Lara shook her head lightly and turned to leave. In the hallway, Nestor blocked her path. "Lara, I know I don't deserve to say this, but I've missed you." To Lara, that line sounded painfully ironic. "Miss me? Nestor, do you even believe that yourself? You say you miss me, and yet you got Lisa pregnant. What do you think we are, just toys you can trade at will?" Nestor's face flushed, his eyes full of panic and embarrassment. "Lara, let me explain." Lara cut him off, her voice cold and resolute. "There's nothing to explain. You already have a child on the way with Lisa. What more is there to say? I wish you both happiness and a long life together." Nestor's arms dropped limply to his sides. He went silent for a moment, as if lost in thought. "Lately, I've been dreaming that I married you." Lara frowned slightly, caught off guard. Nestor continued, "You're gentle, devoted. You give me a child. You work yourself sick until you get cancer. But even in the dream, all I care about is Lisa. I neglect you, hurt you. I'm a complete bastard. Even force you to divorce, with my son's help." Hearing this, Lara couldn't help but be surprised, and even found it a little amusing. She never imagined he'd dream of those absurd moments from their past life. "I feel like I wronged you, and all I want is to make it right." Nestor covered his face, his voice full of pain and regret. Lara pushed down her anger and answered coldly, "If you really want to make it right, then take good care of Lisa. Don't come looking for me again. It'll be better for both of us." Nestor's eyes dimmed, his voice tinged with unwillingness and longing. "But I can't help but feel like you were the one I was meant to marry." Lara's patience ran out. Her expression turned frosty. "Nestor, that's not something you should be saying. In both lives, He'd swayed between two women, greedy, wanting everything without letting go of anything. But now, with everything broken, there was nothing left worth staying for. The Sue family home was never really hers. Chapter 22. The next morning, Lara packed her luggage and knocked on Mrs. Sue's door. She handed her a bank card and said calmly, "Auntie, thank you for taking care of me all these years. This is the money I've saved up. Please accept it as a token of gratitude for everything you've done for me." Mrs. Sue froze for a moment and tried to refuse. "Lara, you don't have to do this. Please take it," Lara said lightly, lifting her suitcase. "I have some matters to deal with at school. I'll be going now." Without looking back, Lara left the Sue household, without a trace of nostalgia. At the ticket counter, a long line had formed. By the time Lara reached the window, tickets to City M were already sold out. To her dismay, the next available ticket wasn't until 2 days later. Frustrated, she ran her fingers through her hair. "Now where am I supposed to go? I can't sleep on the streets, can I?" Just as she was feeling helpless, Sam appeared in front of her, carrying a bunch of bags. "Lara!" He looked genuinely surprised and happy as he walked toward her. Lara was a bit surprised too and greeted him with a smile. "What a coincidence. You're here too?" "Yeah. What's going on with you?" Lara briefly explained that there were no tickets back to City M. Sam looked concerned. "Why don't you come spend the new year at my place?" Lara was taken aback and waved her hands. "Oh no, I couldn't possibly. Come on, don't be shy." He chuckled. "It's just me and my grandma at home. It gets pretty quiet there. You being around would really liven things up. And honestly, I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing you're all alone during the holidays." He paused for a moment before adding, "Please, Lara, just think of it as keeping my poor old grandma company. She gets really lonely during this time." He looked so pitiful that Lara couldn't help but laugh. Touched by his sincerity, she finally agreed. As they walked out of the station, a cold gust of wind blew past. Lara instinctively pulled her coat tighter. Noticing this, Sam immediately took off his own coat and draped it over her shoulders, filling her senses with a subtle, woody fragrance. "Bundle up. City S is way colder than City M," he said. Sam's home was in the old district of City S, a quaint two-story house with classic charm. As soon as they entered the courtyard, the mouth-watering aroma of dumplings greeted them. An elderly woman with silver hair stood at the kitchen door, beaming at the sight of them. "Sam, you're back. And who's this?" Her eyes fell on Lara, and her smile widened. Well, this year you actually brought home a beautiful young lady." Lara lowered her head, blushing slightly. "Grandma, this is Lara, my friend," Sam said with a grin. Wonderful. Come on in and warm up." While Grandma Fu busied herself boiling dumplings, Sam carried Lara's suitcase to the guest room. The room was small but tidy, with sun-dried bedding that smelled fresh and clean. Setting the suitcase down, Sam said gently, "Take a rest. The dumplings will be ready soon." Lara nodded and sat by the bed, watching the snowflakes falling outside the window. She felt a sense of peace and comfort she had never known before. Maybe this is what a home feels like. That evening, they all gathered around the dinner table, enjoying steaming hot dumplings. Grandma Fu kept piling food into Lara's bowl. "Lara dear, you have to come visit often, okay? You're always welcome here." Lara smiled warmly, her heart full. After dinner, Sam suggested taking a walk in the nearby park. The park was quiet in the winter, with only a few couples snuggled together, savoring the rare stillness. Lara and Sam strolled along the lakeside without speaking. Snowflakes drifted gently from the sky, covering them in a soft, gossamer layer. "Thank you, Sam." Lara broke the silence softly. "What for?" "For letting me spend the new year with you." Sam looked at her and teased. "Then how about repaying me with your heart?" Chapter 23. Lara froze for a second, then scoffed playfully. "In your dreams." Even though she said that, her heart fluttered just a little. "So, how do you plan to thank me then? I did rescue you from the depths of despair at the station, you know." Lara laughed at his dramatic tone and replied with a mock-serious face. "A hero? More like someone trying to extort me." He tapped his chin, pretending to ponder. How about this? Cook one meal for me every day until school starts. Lara rolled her eyes. You wish. I'm not even that good at cooking. I don't mind, he said, grinning. I'm not picky. Besides, even if your cooking sucks, I'll still eat every bite. Lara couldn't help but laugh at his shamelessness. That's how you repay a favor. Sounds more like you're taking advantage of me. He sighed dramatically. Guess I'm still not charming enough. Then he suddenly leaned in closer to her. Maybe I just need to try harder? Lara felt her face heat up and quickly stepped back. Don't you try anything weird. Seeing her flustered expression, Sam burst out laughing. Relax. I'm just teasing. He reached out and gently ruffled her hair. Come on, let's head back. Grandma must be worried. When they returned, Grandma Fu had already prepared some hot ginger tea, saying it would warm them up and keep the cold away. Lara cradled the cup, basking in the cozy atmosphere of the Fu household. For the first time in a long while, she felt a small flicker of hope for the future. Maybe letting go of the past and starting over isn't so bad after all. That night, fireworks lit up the sky, bursting in vibrant colors. The thunderous sound of firecrackers echoed all around. Standing by the window, Lara felt a surreal sense of distance, as if she were in another world entirely. Happy New Year, Lara. His voice came from close behind. His warm breath tickled her ear, making her shiver slightly. Lara turned to meet his gaze. Those deep eyes locked onto hers. And for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Her heart skipped a beat. Happy New Year, Sam. He leaned in closer and whispered into her ear. I like you, Lara. I've liked you ever since we sat next to each other in elementary school. Outside, fireworks continued to bloom. Their bright colors reflected on Lara's face, and on Sam's too.